deficit, tackle, diffuse, pertinent, expand, persist, stunt, monarch, detect, naive, fraternity, blister, quiver, niggle, feasible, transparent, judicious, invariably, dreary, hefty, affliction, thrive, beneficiary, electoral, alignment, pitfall, mutation, deplorable, receptive, odious, fraught, adversarial, recur, excruciatingly, docile, altruistic, cursory, indoctrinate, liken, deceptive, innocuous, penetrate, renounce, gratified, diversion, paralysis, conventional, hassle, hilarious, jostle, repel, remit, mentor, haggard, aptitude, displace, impulse, metabolize, meekly, prolonged, onerous, paragon, menial, retain, descendant, bribery, frail, levity, apprehend, invert, alienate, tantrum, erroneous, taunt, plunder, exhort, decrepit, harrowing, advent, enlighten, ebullience, euphoric, exhilaration, disrupt, exquisite, unanimously, mollify, ominous, immunity, influx, perceptible, astound, dissonance, cringe, knack, indolence, illustrious, insidious, splinter, detract, pseudoscience, ambush, longevity, inoculate, mortality, plot, imperative, contagious, faction, cognitive, incumbent, dogmatic, pompous, sustainable, impending, collision, clump, derive, fallacy, consign, formidable, status quo, jeopardize, incite, lanky, vibrant, rendition, inhabitant, imminent, treason, temperament, upstage, confrontational, advocate, misnomer, equilibrium, mediate, philanthropy, exempt, conspiracy, defiance, transpose, elaborate, ferocious, override, turmoil, custody, eradicate, boon, clobber, antagonize, edify, rebel, craze, oust, uphold, ditch, revamp, incredulous, forgery, remedy, felony, lapse, criterion, subversive, toll, placid, evaporate, strive, microscopically, propagation, deduce, compile, unfold, indignant, bewitched, ignite, subtle, frivolous, banal, offshoot, gallant, homogeneous, ratify, jurisdiction, servitude, legitimacy, prerequisite, inquisitive, caustic, incriminate, pester, axis, stringent, quandary, harness, torture, tangle, leverage, externalize, bedraggled, illicit, dilapidated, obsequious, redundant, reclaim, bankruptcy, harbinger, pulverize, vicarious, mount, transcendent, fortification, slump, caricature, immaculate, benign, specter, cavernous, rapport, recuperate, foment, demolition, eloquent, asset, debtor, incessant, foil, savor, mimicry, relinquish, remuneration, censure, abate, averse, surrogate, obfuscate, jubilee, exalt, foray, enticement, preoccupation, devoid, blemish, sturdily, counterpart, retrieve, possessed, enzyme, instigate, heave, myriad, genetically, decimate, facilitate, nudge, inept, metal, multitude, indiscriminate, ecstatic, polarization, consequently, clutter, unruly, archaic, circumlocution, revitalize, smuggle, prognosis, sanctuary, inclement, valiant, shrewd, petulant, ransack, intermittently, manifest, stabilize, auditorium, insolent, clandestine, charlatan, promulgate, decent, protagonist, fortify, hypnotize, supplant, juvenile, evacuate, exemplary, swill, ostensible, amicable, dwindle, occidental, provisional, luminary, withhold, lunar, consummate, demoralized, tumor, course, dissuade, de facto, prescient, moot, susceptible, staunch, seismology, irascible, impair, deter, flawed, shun, emanate, swindle, rapprochement, implicate, transaction, assertive, idyllic, evict, lucrative, frantic, reciprocate, eerie, haphazardly, sophisticated, epiphany, swerve, anesthetic, subsidize, neurologist, resonance, vent, insolvent, constellation, heretic, homage, dutifully, discard, stagger, gaunt, confiscate, emigrate, autonomy, quell, massacre, plea, bail, impoverish, synonymous, culmination, ballot, genial, incapacitate, acrimony, fatality, repudiate, extricate, stealth, refurbish, blunder, surmise, consecration, namely, magnetism, affix, rebellion, disconcerting, pique, felicitous, inanimate, boisterous, robust, sprout, annotation, wreckage, exorcism, sway, inception, berserk, exclusive, replete, assail, erratic, infer, engrossed, derogatory, tally, teeter, sanitation, velocity, opposable, reparation, excel, flawless, deity, incarnation, improvise, emaciated, quaint, bolster, arbitrate, tyranny, prudence, pamper, discourse, misgiving, grapple, vanquish, ambient, embedded, induce, lethargic, diverge, latent, quarantine, libel, spree, prestige, adept, neural, demeanor, expiate, apex, adulation, agape, abdicate, agnostic, molecule, convict, ornithological, incidence, arduous, ostracize, erudite, denote, materialize, triumph, aversion, agility, deflect, tariff, absolve, unravel, perennial, vehement, eschew, sovereignty, sporadic, extermination, assure, brandish, laudable, cognition, constitutional, submissive, endowment, rebate, decipher, outrage, commiserate, legitimate, resurgence, disorientated, intrusive, delineate, larceny, bemoan, intractable, intact, rebut, ponder, hemisphere, array, agenda, disgruntled, contingency, phase, barrage, bunker, probationary, trite, annihilation, disproportionately, mutate, topple, endow, lenient, widespread, verge, chronicle, reconciliation, entreaty, contradict, grumble, deface, blasphemy, cortex, subdued, recourse, reconcile, ambivalence, stowage, insinuation, proceeds, gluttonous, vulgar, ameliorate, rampage, corrode, inclusive, abuse, eulogize, thwart, bout, commonplace, patronage, palatable, straddle, expel, dearth, embark, scatter, enforce, wreak, hectic, migration, coincidence, implant, accrue, paramount, renege, narrowly, fiendish, peruse, thrifty, thread, substantiate, run down, detriment, liaison, bask, lackluster, ordnance, lurk, affability, retribution, bionic, analogous, introvert, freight, evoke, galvanize, sectarian, suffrage, seamless, verification, meticulous, irrelevant, disparity, repository, prescribe, indispensable, scuttle, microbe, assimilate, guzzle, redress, flagrant, suppress, suffocate, counterfeit, dub, deviate, intricate, phenomenal, lax, cease, treacherous, emblazon, consort, contemporary, impurity, defunct, intrigue, terrestrial, compassion, feign, avarice, habitual, ailment, prostrate, commutation, negligent, insipid, adolescent, contradictory, retaliation, squint, fortitude, icon, reside, threshold, elucidate, repose, deteriorate, cryptic, torment, abstention, affable, interminable, fertility, diminutive, vicious, dazzle, diameter, schism, dispensation, merge, classified, veracity, inject, omniscient, orchestrate, affront, vilify, stolid, denigrate, condone, pragmatic, interrogate, sedentary, leftover, grueling, plagiarism, manipulate, deportation, dispirited, frigid, emphatic, adamant, huddle, infirmity, tedious, infiltrate, meander, concede, equity, allure, malign, seclude, intrinsic, vicinity, grievance, habitat, keepsake, validate, accelerate, renunciation, corroborate, arrears, profuse, persecution, smother, reprimand, discreet, bluff, mediator, garner, salient, faculty, duplicate, haughty, famished, impeccable, cardinal, confidential, scruple, saturate, crude, pair, skyrocket, statistically, murky, momentum, stern, laureate, precept, resonant, bleak, apparition, concur, inflamed, despondent, rash, languid, fatally, incense, antipathy, affidavit, snatch, resplendent, roundabout, brink, cozy, dismantle, excavate, ingenious, elude, acclaim, prevail, menace, disperse, efficacious, plummet, petrified, gullible, revoke, cinch, statutory, snide, insatiable, solidarity, exacerbate, abomination, banter, pretense, efficacy, proprietor, pendulum, detest, sumptuous, warden, affluent, infighting, clumsy, indelible, specimen, reprieve, specify, slam, founder, quantum, impede, reversal, fidelity, loophole, onus, divert, concession, exuberant, coalition, vandalism, mortify, coerce, revise, quorum, preferential, predilection, terse, ebb, amenable, downplay, creed, gist, precipitation, outright, translucent, tranquil, reap, uncover, intimate, meditate, infectious, abridged, dense, malignant, matriculate, prelude, meager, inane, ensue, linkage, hostile, nominally, confinement, defraud, tentative, lavish, tinge, traverse, allay, garnish, abyss, swamp, conformist, marginally, animosity, predatory, abscond, condemnation, thrift, reclusive, rebuke, gregarious, agrarian, claim, primate, perk, abject, matrimony, guarantee, enroll, shroud, addendum, vindicate, archaeologist, communal, uncouth, demur, stump, integrate, ascetic, outage, burgeon, congregate, verify, mediocre, bounty, indemnity, prolific, defector, zest, fastidious, obnoxious, affiliation, critical, benefactor, insurrection, incoherent, inauguration, arrogant, concussion, idiosyncratic, infusion, embrace, presumptuous, rudimentary, agitate, beguile, juncture, invigorate, cohesive, incipient, replenish, forego, upstart, litigation, subsequent, allocate, impregnable, lave, ambivalent, integral, naturalization, conflagration, plausible, amendment, inducement, preclusion, pandemonium, instill, snarl, placate, regime, debilitate, culpable, innate, pawn, refute, periphery, seditious, subvert, eulogy, exhortation, mock, glib, exploit, suave, static, wrangle, spasm, imposition, equivocal, surmount, fetter, upheaval, hindsight, furtive, abrasive, flimsy, languishing, esteem, logistically, banish, dimension, stray, conspicuous, phase, discrepancy, belligerent, insignia, lousy, subordinate, rigorous, provincial, oppress, garble, amnesty, acute, abundance, configuration, sprawl, anemic, clout, obtuse, peer, abort, diverse, rebuff, requisite, heed, intrust, solicit, simulation, conglomerate, dubious, conversion, commotion, fortress, assessment, bias, leeway, encapsulate, broach, fuel, ramification, collation, surveillance, drawback, parry, chafe, crunch, poach, avid, explicit, idiosyncrasy, disheveled, contrivance, bellicose, defamatory, pernicious, impersonal, ponderous, vigorous, pedantic, recipient, kindred, recurrent, profane, fanatically, elusive, sullen, appalled, adjacent, debris, spillage, subsidence, condolence, unsettle, novelty, polytheistic, lurch, prod, emulate, irate, facetious, transcend, balk, contemplate, crux, clench, contrive, deprivation, precede, crucial, superfluous, lament, jeer, annulment, intercept, malleability, repeal, forebode, rankle, phage, perpetrate, zenith, embryo, memento, implement, cardiovascular, divine, slash, hazard, propriety, enhance, haven, levitate, sinister, reprehensible, milestone, backlash, pliable, content, extraterrestrial, baffle, obsessive, taut, stationary, procrastinate, ulterior, commensurate, irrational, flabbergasted, retort, feat, ledger, oblivious, aloof, culprit, stimulate, disband, dissenting, simulate, trait, buffer, illiberal, omen, decant, hypnosis, modulate, accomplice, disposition, devastate, extrapolate, discernible, rowdy, contiguous, gaudy, ingenuity, plight, charade, skeptical, rationale, march, rumble, entice, adjourn, recklessly, invoke, frisk, allude, morsel, adjudicate, teeming, hibernate, expunge, detrimental, premonition, defy, aberration, dissemble, dividend, illicit, sluggish, innuendo, impudent, ultimatum, tenacious, fluctuate, bereave, unearth, psychic, perimeter, endorse, overly, encroach, forfeit, succulent, expansively, incubator, devious, attic, discern, conducive, impervious, quota, distend, infancy, adequate, dismal, fraudulent, gratuity, benchmark, dictum, erudition, oblivion, testimonial, transgression, arbitrary, confound, frenetic, cipher, hypothesize, curtail, edible, authoritative, celibate, epitomize, respiratory, stammer, buoyant, durability, litigate, pinnacle, muffled, swarm, imprudent, posture, spontaneous, stupendous, bungling, capricious, abominable, evade, segregation, ruthless, preservation, semblance, impermeable, discontent, inevitable, plead, cagey, plaintiff, gadget, debit, reinstate, veer, dissertation, extinct, venerable, ongoing, prosecutor, dainty, deregulate, verdict, accost, serene, recluse, pasture, stubborn, dangle, grudgingly, shackle, complicity, distinct, inaugurate, retard, dissect, vacillate, epidemic, exasperate, upscale, municipality, envoy, grind, countless, demographic, perseverance, loquacious, pretentious, beckon, hermit, confer, dismiss, prophecy, pesticide, captivation, gravity, revel, perspective, dispute, bombard, connotation, fabricate, forensic, niche, hover, drastically, expedient, purge, contraband, rubble, hatch, felicity, stalemate, decay, lure, antibiotic, destined, furlough, trance, virulent, recant, hamper, chronic, accusation, revile, munificent, assiduous, combustion, tepid, intervention, dupe, eminence, inconsequential, exorbitant, dues, conscience, persecute, consignment, intangible, disciplinary, precarious, indictment, famine, stipend, insular, tantamount, surge, incremental, regale, tremendous, menacingly, plagiarize, camaraderie, sabotage, precinct, intriguing, depiction, prevarication, premium, diatribe, austere, vulnerable, execute, exemplify, impunity, spell, undergo, exterminate, counterfeiter, commitment, shatter, contentious, artifact, effigy, embezzle, inculcate, probe, perpetrator, tenuous, malady, resent, qualm, unscathed, ordeal, morose, distractedly, decadence, predominate, pervasive, guise, aggravate, undertake, progeny, lineage, veto, toxic, dynasty, truculent, whim, carnivorous, inflammation, prophetic, adorn, collaborate, evolve, mutter, deferment, bibliography, mundane, deviation, simultaneous, transfusion, patent, apathetic, contravene, diffident, epicenter, onrush, candid, annihilate, scrabble, nullify, infatuated, echelon, inhibit, hypothesis, impalpable, perjury, deliberation, utility, tactics, quench, poignant, dislodge, detour, demean, complacency, quirk, fervent, droll, derision, concoct, denomination, precipitate, complex, voluptuous, alienation, duplicity, atheist, replicate, surreptitiously, appease, prodigious, belittle, hygienic, apathy, cluster, delusion, augment, malice, notoriously, predicament, cramp, metaphor, vociferous, sobriety, posterity, waylay, fervor, distraught, engulf, hurtle, contaminate, duration, predator, deprecate, amplify, stagnant, clairvoyant, maneuver, cessation, clean, iridescent, bountiful, paternity, conciliatory, pedestrian, hunch, candor, futile, admonish, hoard, pilfer, oblique, invalid, voraciously, compliance, debase, courier, mesmerize, graft, propitious, insurmountable, modicum, route, privilege, chasten, filthy, contemplative, astute, momentous, sojourn, nonchalant, pathetic, expire, enunciate, pallid, infraction, legislature, extrinsic, controversial, derelict, disarmament, obstruct, debunk, perturb, lobby, parasite, debacle, grudge, ambiguous, scrutinize, eclipse, molt, agonize, drain, juggle, repatriate, attribute, limb, tenure, vigilant, indebted, inert, diminish, zeal, relentless, emancipate, implacable, urbane, compatible, hallmark, atrocity, anatomy, append, impasse, prosecute, gate, daunting, devout, disposal, culpability, optimum, mortgage, irreparably, frazzle, expulsion, entity, halt, permeate, obscurity, confiscation, elimination, cogitate, altruism, extradite, tribally, blatantly, covert, reverberate, overture, oversight, loom, notable, paltry, provoke, epitaph, respite, succumb, hybrid, retroactively, superficial, dice, bluntly, medieval, stalwart, contamination, thrust, capitulate, mutinous, pristine, dissipate, calamity, mandatory, intolerant, inundate, viability, extol, conscription, linger, extract, adjunct, nucleus, somber, proclivity, snub, attuned, relegate, facade, truncate, cumulative, expenditure, brawl, project, wanton, panacea, solace, coherent, stipulate, proponent, exodus, ratio, conceit, prevaricate, commodity, jaded, vestige, intake, depletion, enforcement, erode, volition, strut, snare, intrepid, aboveboard, diagnose, underscore, amenity, windfall, intimidated, throb, lurid, asylum, blanch, drab, hoax, wriggle, incinerate, brunt, streak, yardstick, extort, irrigation, procure, impartiality, surpass, impulsive, migrate, humiliate, schematic, credulity, arcane, implicit, fiasco, squabble, supplement, empower, elocution, invincible, strenuous, conviviality, esoteric, monopolize, exonerate, blurt, abhorrent, versatile, scarce, preemptive, potential, address, brevity, breakthrough, farce, ignominious, ransom, feud, infringement, anachronism, scrupulous, stake, consecrate, decorum, reiterate, pivot, enumerate, conviction, reimburse, volatile, spurn, tribute, benevolently, reticent, percolate, sustain, askew, absurdity, state of the art, incongruous, irrevocable, adherent, rectify, venue, reprisal, palate, spawn, outcry, unprecedented, soar, caliber, stymie, hindrance, protrusion, embargo, proximity, append, curb, destitution, wince, attenuate, heritage, jubilant, obstinate, deferential, malevolent, projection, transmit, disdain, neutrality, repulse, repercussion, waiver, detention, perfunctory, mangle, embolden, scrawl, ravage, disgust, clique, frugal, foliage, sanctity, prune, dissension, savvy, flourish, exploratory, dart, speculation, inhibition, acquittal, denounce, preclude, secede, precursor, provident, spurious, squeamish, drawl, trigger, certitude, hub, inscription, overdue, divulgence, wrench, tarnish, provision, synthesize, rampant, precedence, insulate, submerge, promiscuous, contingent, abrogate, encrypt, obscure, penitent, venomous, bizarre, engender, cerebral, incentive, morale, travesty, circulate, alliance, extinction, patriot, ablaze, pledge, onslaught, subsistence, juror, facet, deceased, identical, rife, premises, plague, resurrection, miscellaneous, ingratiate, posthumously, constituency, conjecture, verbose, burnished, jinx, dormant, fumble, credibility, indiscretion, traffic, tedium, potent, restoration, latitude, profess, ethical, berate, balance, sneer, assault, hinder, scavenge, undermine, rejuvenate, disparate, deference, reinforce, impediment, havoc, footage, erupt, overrun, deficiency, revert, sterile, spur, bestow, conjugate, expedite, interject, malleable, mayhem, propagate, empathize, intuitive, prone, backlog, condescending, throng, fiscal, expertise, loot, prodigy, virtuous, gradient, bent, fallible, equivocate, pretext, inhospitable, equivalent, orthodontist, delineation, heinous, deputy, rebuttal, scapegoat, copious, gnaw, splurge, administer, insubstantial, dissolution, corrosive, scour, consolidate, migratory, satirize, aesthetically, initially, subjugate, diversity, inherent, psychologically, opulent, coffer, heedless, devastation, vie, allegory, composure, enormous, gloat, empirically, encompass, encumber, dissident, diffuse, jilt, catastrophically, vernacular, stale, diabolic, upshot, flamboyantly, jeopardy, clarify, autism, jest, full-fledged, dispatch, ultimately, purvey, untenable, lethal, imposing, personable, cove, maxim, insurgent, stifle, enact, resuscitate, scheme, obsolete, accentuate, irresolute, amity, retentive, paucity, steer, alleviate, gorge, disavow, fugitive, lambast, impound, crabby, contraption, incisive, defame, obtrusive, invaluable, distressing, avert, authentic, migraine, clemency, ascension, parameter, rustic, glitch, mirage, decoy, indicative, delegation, pandemic, integration, embody, inscrutable, thesis, infested, gimmick, entail, perception, exert, circumvent, opaque, hype, pundit, blur, nimble, trivial, derisive, delve, outcast, morbid, fraud, usurp, liability, deplete, decree, pageant, debar, consortium, mishap, incur, novice, weather, tamper, catalyst, onset, traumatic, reseed, deduction, smear, profound, destitute, torrid, virtually, hereditary, hobble, abruptly, inadvertently, anoint, addictive, snip, coverage, chaotic, pinpoint, hypothetical, pollination, unabashedly, parish, rehash, dismissive, spouse, redeem, proliferate, monotonously, sparse, exorcise, coax, dispensable, irk, hairy, constriction, prevalence, dispel, justify, inertia, entrepreneur, impeachment, extravagant, muster, propensity, reminisce, canvas, dribble, diagnosis, fortuitously, squander, deploy, quadruple, elongate, proposition, rhetorically, rapacious, intoxication, restraint, recoup, jiggle, curtly, platitude, jumbled, fragility, diversify, deride, referendum, legislate, showdown, setback, holistic, prerogative, detain, sublime, senile, demure, surplus, resume, blissful, drench, comprehensive, stem, condescension, penchant, truancy, perilous, imperious, discharge, pungent, captive, negate, pervade, foist, barren, disparage, autopsy, detonate, exponential, endemic, auspice, transient, indigenous, validity, tout, decry, recapitulate, implore, adroit, monopoly, bigot, deluge, affinity, cajole, entrench, embroil, intervene, coma, curfew, inmate, conveyance, demise, alacrity, sheer, succinct, dexterity, empathic, catastrophe, flattery, impetus, compunction, fad, liquidate, obligatory, audacity, auspicious, bland, precedent, precipitous, antagonistic, bucolic, eligible, stigma, dawdle, proclaim, haggle, despicable, amend, tenet, obliterate, sleek, disguise, snitch, ubiquitous, clamor, espionage, suspend, integrity, void, hygiene, commence, disseminate, inveterate, anonymous, benediction, taciturn, elevation, flaunt, hedge, rescind, rancor, circumstantial,